It's halftime for the Sixers, so I wanted to talk a little Phillies news. As you may have heard yesterday, the Phillies have signed Scott Kingery to a contract extension. It's worth up to $24 million, could exceed all the way up to $65 million. That's a lot of bread. Everybody happy with the decision? I think this was a great move. We didn't know what was going to happen with Kingery this year. Was he going to play down in AAA and then come up midway through the season, maybe in April? The reason they would do that is for arbitration. If he did play a little down, even if it was a week down in AAA, his arbitration would be extended for yet another year. So 2024 is when he would be a free agent. Well, the Phillies brass, Gabe Kapler, cut right to the chase, didn't even worry about that. They just gave him a contract extension. I think this was a great move. He's been one of the best prospects in our system for a while now, since we drafted him back in 2015 out of Arizona. He was a Wildcat. But this kid is so versatile. He can play multiple positions on the diamond. He can even play a little bit of outfield. And now with Gabe Kapler being an analytical guy, he is going to put players all over the field. It doesn't matter. It's going to be positionless baseball. The only thing I don't like about it, and it's a huge risk. You don't really know how these prospects are going to turn out. I don't know if you guys remember when we had Jonathan Singleton was a prospect in the Philly system. Kind of like a Ryan Howard type, big guy, could hit a lot of home runs, struck out a lot. But we traded him to the Houston Astros. And before he got to the majors, the Astros extended him, gave him a contract extension, the whole arbitration deal. A lot less money than what we're paying Kingery. It was like $10 million a year. And we all know how that turned out. He didn't play a lick of big league baseball that was productive. He was up and down a lot through his career there in Houston. That was back in 2014. Do I think this is going to happen with Scott Kingery? I don't believe it is, because I think he's a way better prospect, light years ahead of what Jonathan Singleton was. But, of course, it's a risk. You don't know. Now, it could go up to $65 million, but there's 3 club year options for 2024, 2025, and 2026. So that's what would make it a 9-year contract, all in all. But he played the best baseball, I think, out of any Phillies prospect down in spring training this year. He was batting .392. He can flash the leather. His natural position is second base, but he can play third. He can play second. Like I said, you might even see him being played out in the outfield. You just want to get this kid on the field any way possible. Much like Rhys Hoskins last year, it was a sin to keep him down in the minors because of how productive he can be up with the big league club. And he was just too good to be down there anymore. So he proved his worth, and we're trying to cash in on it. There's been talk that he is kind of like a Dustin Pedroia type, just because they play the same position and they're not very big guys. But this kid can get contact. He's got power. He can steal bases. He's the whole package. I think this was a great move. He could, big shoes to fill since we've lost Chase Utley, which I think is the best second baseman we've ever had. But he is that type of prospect to where he could be in the same talks when it's all said and done with the Chase Utley. We're locking up our young core, as you can see. We've got the Aaron Nola. We just signed Jake Arrieta, Carlos Santana. This team is ready to move forward. That's what this move shows me, is the Phillies are serious. They want to try to contend. They're tired of being doormats. This was a great move for the organization. Great for Scott Kingery and his camp. The kid is just something special. He doesn't really have any weaknesses. Not many, if at all. The kid just flashes. Great leather out there. I think he could be playing a lot of third base if sorry, still in Sixers talk. If Mikel doesn't really produce and show any signs of showing that he can really hold down the hot corner there at third base. But Gabe has talked about it, even all spring training, that he wants to give guys blows. You're not going to see guys playing 162 games. So he could be playing a little bit of third. It's all going to be a feel for Gabe, I think, on who's got the hot hand, who needs to have a rest, who's playing well. But to have his versatility out there and the way he can swing the bat, get on bases for our big guys to really knock them home, kind of like when we had Victorino and Jimmy Rollins at the top. of the lineup. This kid is a very, very special talent, and I think when it's all said and done, we could be talking Phillies Wall of Fame. Yep, I said it. I'm not going to say the Hall of Fame because Baseball Hall of Fame is really hard to get into, but the kid sees the ball well. He's fast. He can play multiple positions. He might even take over for J.P. Crawford at some point, but his natural position is second base. So who's he being blocked by? Cesar Hernandez, who's been solid since we lost Chase Utley. He's solidified the second base to the best of his abilities. He's a guy at the top of your lineup who's got a little bit of speed, who can also get on base. His defense isn't terrible. It's pretty good. But I think it's time of the Cesar Hernandezes, the Freddie Galvises. That time of Phillies baseball is over. We're ready to bring up the young pups. We still have a ton down there. We optioned Zach Curtis today, Zach Eflin, Roman Quinn. I'm sorry. His name always slips my mind, which I was kind of disappointed because I really like Roman Quinn. I think he's a really great prospect. It's health concerns, but the kid is phenomenal. He's got phenomenal speed. You want that out there in the outfield. He can track down any ball when he's out there. He can get on base. I was hoping he would be one of our bench pieces, but obviously Gabe and the Phillies are going in another direction. They tried him out at shortstop and in the infield, which I thought was a horrible idea. I also don't like that they had Rhys Hoskins out in left field. That is not a position for Rhys Hoskins. He's a decent athlete, but he just looks lost out there. He played terrible down in spring training out there in left field. It was great that we got rid of Tommy Joseph finally, so you'll be seeing some platooning with Carlos Santana over there. That's the only spot that Scott Kingery won't be playing, is first base, but I think this is a great move for the organization. It's fun to be a Philadelphia sports fan at this moment. A couple years ago, we wouldn't be talking about the Phillies, Eagles, Sixers, or the Flyers. They were all in a rut. They were all doormats, bottom feeders. Well, you have to be able to look towards the future and see what the teams were doing. Yeah, it was depressing, but you had a sense that they were going to get better. They were moving forward. They were making the right moves, and I can't say that I'm disappointed or for any of the organizations because they all had a good plan, and it's all starting to come to fruition because we drafted well. We've got really good talent in all four major sports, so it's really exciting to be a sports fan. So it was worth going through those lull years of being bottom feeders because we've got exceptional talent, and locking up Scott Kingery and not having to worry about his arbitration and have him wasting away down there in AAA, which I think this is just an exceptional move by the Sixers brass. I can't say it enough. It gives us a guy that's going to be able to get on base and score some runs. Let's get back to the years when the Phillies were putting crooked numbers up, like 6, 7, 8 runs. I love those. I'd rather have that than a more dominant pitching staff. I would rather have bats than a dominant pitching staff. But great move. Arrieta, also in some other news, Arrieta, we're not sure if he's going to be ready for the start of the season. He had his first start down in Clearwater a few days ago. He pitched 2 innings. He had a wild pitch. He got rocked for a homer. It's going to take some time. I don't know why he wouldn't be working out this entire time when he didn't have a team. But for some reason, I guess he's got to be stretched out a little bit more. But we're not going to worry. There's 162 games, right? So just wanted to get that news out there. Scott Kingery is a Philly for possibly 9 years. Let's lock him up for his career. If he's as successful as he has been in the minors, flying up through the system, we have our next Chase Utley, guys. So, exciting news for the Phillies. Let's get back to the Sixers, and there will be more Philly news later. Adrian and Tony are probably going to do a show possibly Wednesday. We're not sure. We'll let you know. Kyle Gaffner with the Bitter Birds. Phillies sign Mr. Kingery, the best prospect in quite some time in the Phillies system, is locked up for maybe 9 years. 2026. All right. All right, guys. I'm out. Peace.